Good morning. Good morning. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Good morning, kings and queens of the land. Good morning, the royals. Good morning, kings and queens of the land. Good morning to all the liberated zones in Africa, beginning first under the leadership of President Ibrahim Traore, Mali under the leadership of President Assimi Goita, Niger under the leadership of President Abdurrahman Tian. Salute to the Sahel soldiers, to the Sahel Lions for taking the motherland using the force. Good morning to President Zuma in South Africa, the liberated zone in KwaZulu-Natal. Liberated the leader of the MK party, who is the supreme leader of black people, President Zuma, in KZN, the MK party leading, the MK party leading in KZN. Good morning to all the liberated zones of Africa, the only liberated zone in the in the British colony is KZN. Partially liberated zone is KZN, because even KZN is not yet fully liberated. Um, the imperial forces today, one issue happening in South Africa. Dudu Zile Zuma goes to court uh, for the first time for um, instigating people in the 2021 July unrest. That's what the imperial forces are saying. The imperial forces are hungry for violence in South Africa, hungry for war in South Africa. President Zuma not giving them, and South Africans not giving them exactly what they want. So they try all sorts of provocations in order to lead people to agitate people to war, uh, instead of facing the fact that they have to move out of power, uh, instead of facing the fact that they have already lost the ground. The imperial powers, they have decided to create provocations. One, taking Duduzile Zuma to court for instigating. It's criminal, because the criminals who arrested his father have not accounted for why did they arrest his father without trial. They have not accounted for arresting his father without any crime. So they have not accounted for anything, but they want Duduzile Zuma to be arrested uh, maybe for talking, or she was apparently she was not supposed to comment when the forces of imperialism kidnapped her father to prison. When they abducted President Zuma to prison, when President Ramaphosa abducted President Zuma to prison, the imperial forces did not want them to comment. So this morning, one of the things that are happening is Duduzile Zuma is appearing in court in South Africa to face charges relating to instigation in the 2021 violence. Those are some of the news that are currently happening. But my name is Mngoni Mkonto, and this is the Royal Opinion. Today we are talking about the DRC, South Africa in the DRC. Every time when we talk about people pretending, people think we're kidding. When we talk about people lying, pushing propaganda, people think we're playing. We're not telling the truth as it is. But the DRC, let me first immediately explain the problem in the DRC. The problem in the DRC is minerals. The problem in the DRC is the most rich region in terms of mineral reserve in Africa. So the DRC, especially the Eastern DRC, is the richest region in the African continent in terms of mineral reserve. That is the problem. We may attribute the conflict to tribal or ethnic groups. We may attribute the conflict to Rwanda. We may to M23 or whatsoever. But the main issue that I want us to understand from the beginning is that the DR Congo is the most richest region in Africa, not only in Africa, in planet Earth, the most dense region, the region with the most dense collection of different types of minerals. Um, More minerals than even uh, people know, So now at the moment, the technology companies, the DR Congo is host to minerals that are needed by the technology countries, by the technology industry. The president of DRC has reported April in the International Criminal Court for fueling and for sponsoring the M23 in order for them to continue mining, for fueling the violence in the DRC, for them to continue mining. Thank you very much, King Shongwe, for joining there. Welcome, welcome in the house. Thank you for being part of our conversation. And you are actually very early. You came at the start. SA soldiers dying in defense of personal investment of top brass. It sounds like a newspaper headline. Sounds like a newspaper headline. Yeah. So there, because of the fact that the DR Congo is one of the richest region, it's actually not even one, let me not say one of the richest. is the richest region in terms of minerals. Uh, so the ethnic people who were born in that area, the people who, like maybe we can say, before the colonizers arrived in Africa, Africa belonged to all the people. There was no Rwanda, there was no DR Congo, there was no uh, Congo Brazzaville. So it was just one area. So when the colonizers divided, they divided the Congo and put other ethnic groups in different places, just to mix people up, just to cause havoc, just to cause ethnic wars, in order for the people to, in order for them to be able to take the resources of the land. The main issue in the DRC, what they need to achieve in the DRC, I said the cause of the war is their resources. And what does the war seek to achieve at the moment? Why do the people who were invaded the war on the people seek to displace the Africans out of their land, so that the technology companies can get into those lands and be able to mine without people who are going to bother them, without paying people for relocating them, because it's going to be massive amounts of money. Displacement of people, displacement of uh, people who are in areas where minerals are found. It's a strategy that has been deployed by the colonial master from a long time ago. Um, Now it's a country invading another country. Previously, it was a kingdom invading another kingdom. The largest displacement of people, the largest displacement of people in the 21st century is in the DRC. The largest displacement of people in the 1800 was caused by King Shaka. This is not for the first time it's happening. The reason for displacing people is for the imperial force, so that when the imperial force comes in, now when the people who own the land are displaced, then you come and start negotiating. The people who are negotiating are the invaders, the people who've got their strongest guns. The citizens of the country are no more there. The citizens of the land, the real citizens of the land, are no more there, have been removed through the wars that are caused by the imperialists. Uh, Rwanda, or President Paul Kagame, has been used, and his tribe has been used by imperial forces to capture people. Before, the forces were used to capture slaves. Now the forces are used to continue to capture land in the 21st century. The imperial forces have decided to use the 1800 strategy to straight away invade, use the forces, the M23 forces backed by President Kagame, whom I would like to compare, to call him the King Shaka of the 21st century. Uh, a warlord, a very strong character, a fearless kind of character, who is aligned to the West, who is aligned to white people, to the imperial powers. The main thing there is to cause displacement of people. The main issue is to cause the displacement of people so that the companies can come into to mine. So Paul Kagame and President Ramaphosa, even in Mozambique, as soon as natural gas reserve was discovered, war broke out to displace the natives, to facilitate the looting. Yeah, that's the fact, because like, yeah, that's the template is every time when they've discovered minerals in a particular land, they don't want to be responsible to make sure that the people who are from that land benefit from the minerals. They want to first create wars so that they they displace the people who are supposed to complain about their mining, so that when they come to mine, there's nobody to complain, everybody has been displaced. The negotiations will be between the people who are fighting, the fighters, and the people who want to be leaders in that particular country. So Paul Kagame doing what Shaka Zulu did in the 1800s, using covert strategies to ensure that he capture new lands. But this is only for the imperial forces. It's not, I was not gonna be against President Paul Kagame if President Paul Kagame was capturing the land for the sake of Africans. But the problem is for the sake of uh, big tech companies. It's not for the sake of uh, African people. It's for the sake of the big tech companies to go there and mine. So the thing is, Africa have to unite. Africa's resources belong to all the people who are found in the African land. The borders that have divided Africa are the ones who are creating tensions in other areas, because other people, other ethnic groups have been locked out of the areas where the minerals are found. So, in actual fact, Africa should just unite and agree to sell its minerals and benefit, and its mineral resources to benefit its people. The leaders of the African leaders should just unite. Let me just share what the imperial forces want to continue to do in the. Sorry, let me just share this video. This President Paul Kagame saying he spoke to President Ramaphosa about the issue.
To provide any kind of guidance as to what we should be doing from one thing or one day to another. And by this, I want to also ask, as the East African community, what did we want from the beginning what did we do about that? What are we doing now? And what do we want to do for where we want to go? Because exactly like President Sami has mentioned, if it is talking about problems and defining them, and I think we have been very eloquent. We have talked about all kinds of things. But when do we match what we are saying and what we are doing so that we get to what we want? When do we come to that? I haven't seen it. President, I asked last time in our meeting, the last summit, where is East African community, or does it exist? And exist for what? By the way, even now the person or the country we are talking about is not represented as we are discussing. And it is supposed to be, the country is supposed to be part of East Africa, but nowhere to be represented. So I'm not sure what bearing what we are discussing has on what happens in the process of finding a solution in this country. I'll move on. The conflict that was created from the time we had the East African community get involved in trying to help in Congo, and later on when the East African force was trying its best and we are seeing progress, Tshisekedi decided they are not doing what he wanted and went to SADC. SADC agreed they would come and do what he wanted and sent everybody packing. And that we complied and kept quiet. What really did we expect to come out of this? Now, worse still, I think even in East Africa itself, ourselves, maybe we have different understanding of what the problem is, and we have never come together to agree or even disagree and find a way to come together finally to do what we ought to do to deal with this problem. Or we simply decided, each country, to move on its own with a different agenda arising out of involvement or whatever in Congo, and that was enough. If your interests were catered for by Tshisekedi, that was fine, even if the others' interests or concerns were not taken care of. You can imagine, therefore, what chaos comes out of that kind of situation. We are, on one hand, assuming or pretending we are coming together over an issue and trying to find a solution, while at the same time, each country is pulling in its own direction, different from the others. This is the fact of the matter. Now, but even if we were doing everything right, all of us, nothing is going to come out of it until those mainly concerned are also part of it and participating and contributing to the success of the process through which they are getting the support. But if the parties decide or accept to be manipulated, because, and by the way, that's exactly what happened. And I think in Congo, there are experts for doing that. They would go to one party and promise them something, and then they would decide to keep quiet about what is obviously going to result into problems like we are seeing now. For the last 2 days, on Monday and today this morning, I spoke with the President of South Africa, who sought me out to speak with me on this matter because of their involvement in Eastern Congo. And he's also there pretending to be playing a peacemaker role, and he has a force that has been fighting alongside FDLR and has been fighting the M23 on the instructions of Tshisekedi, because these are people who are not supposed to be in Congo, that these are from Rwanda, or the M23 are not Rwandans, please. These are
President Kagame, talking about his conversation with President Ramaphosa, saying South Africa or President Ramaphosa in Congo, in the Eastern Congo, pretending like he's there for peacekeeping, while knowing he's actually there for the mineral to assist with the business of stealing the Congolese minerals, the business of stealing the Congolese. President Kagame saying they are actually begging other rebels which are found in that place, which are fighting against the M23. So this is a fact. This is what normally happens when they say they send a peacekeeping mission to a particular country. They are sending them that in order for them to protect the people who are mining, the people who will be mining in that particular area. They create the war and send a peacekeeping mission. The peacekeeping mission is to protect the trucks when they come from stealing. They have to escort them or whatever, or the people who've got the minerals have to be escorted by others. So it's actually for those type of missions. So South Africa in the Congo, the involvement of South Africa in the Congo, it's not for the interest of black people in South Africa. It's for personal interest of other companies, personal interest, and for imperial companies. So the President Ramaphosa works for the imperial forces. Even President Kagame works for imperial forces. Now they are clashing in the Congo, the interest of Paul Kagame in the Congo, in the interest of Ramaphosa, are clashing in the DRC. This the argument or the clashes that they have, the leaders have, it does not matter whether it results into war, whatever it results into. They don't really care because they don't really care about the people, the people in the DR Congo. So they don't really care. They don't really care even. They are not. They won't even be responsible enough in their speeches because both of them they know on the other hand that they are actually protecting the interest of the imperial forces. Just the displacement of the Congolese people to allow white people to mine. So the militia or the warlord who will be the strongest between the forces, the Chisekedi forces, says he's referring to President Paul Kagame and the M23 forces, which are Kagame forces. Which ones are going to win? At the end of the day, it's about those gangs selling the minerals to the white people, the one who will be controlling the minerals and enriching their pockets, not even enriching their countries. This is what is happening in the DRC. The massive displacement of humans, massive displacement of human being. I don't even want to talk about the story about Hutus and Tutsi people because you know these things. The DR Congo is home to more than 450 nations, different types of nations. That's how black people differ. That's how different in terms of culture black people are. So I don't even want to talk about the ethnic groups because white people want all of those things that divide black people and explore those things to further divide black people. If you talk about Hutus, you in your imagination you don't imagine people. You imagine other things other than people. If you talk about Tutsis, you are not imagining people. You are imagining other things other than people. If you are not a Tutsi, so it's actually somehow assisting the imperial forces to be able to sustain their hold over us. So that is actually what is happening in the DR Congo. I also want to touch on this on another issue, on a different issue. I want to touch on uh, the issue of new technology, which has been not necessarily recently discovered, but um, recently so. Let me share this.
Sonic energy device. Microsonic energy device, it is the device that I personally invented in 2009, which harnesses radio frequencies, converted it into energy. As you know, radio frequencies, they are measured in nano volts, meaning to say they are less than a volt, they are just like nothing, but we find a way of harnessing it through the creation of the 70% of the components in the microsonic energy, which I've tailor-made, which I've designed. So those are the components that enable the radio frequency to be transferred into pure, useful energy. And this is the first time in the world. With that technology, it violates the laws of energy in thermodynamics and also the first law of energy as well.
So they wanted to arrest him for changing physics.
Yeah, yes. Even when we try to file a patent, they said we are violating the natural laws of physics. So it's not an industrial applicable. We decided to take the trade secret route after that. So with this car, you can also use it to power your house. It is a moving generator. When you drive from work back to your home, you can connect your power cable, then you can power your house. It gives you 15 kilowatts power to power your house. And the vehicle itself, it has got 160 kilowatts electric motor, which gives you a torque of about 320 to 380 Newton meters of torque. That means it's fast. And we are talking of horsepower of around 215 horsepower. So when we compare this car with the same cars of this model, like the Toyota Urban Cruiser, you will see that this is efficient in everything. When you talk of load, our car doesn't weigh much. It weighs 1,405 kgs only. When you talk of an Urban Cruiser, you're talking of about 1,800. So that means you can carry extra baggage in the vehicle. Top speed is 220 kilometers per hour. Yeah, which is fast. It has got 2 driving modes. We have got the sport mode, which will give you 0 to 100 kilometers per hour in around 2 seconds. That is very, very powerful. Then we've got what we call a normal driving mode. When you want to drive like in town, we can select that one so that it won't give you a lot of torque. The vehicle, it is highly it is a technological marvel to say, because it has got so many things that you can find only on big cars such like Mercedes-Benz, Range Rovers. We've got 3D cameras, we've got a pedestrian braking system, it has got sensors, and it uses a radar. So if you're driving like in town, someone then steps in the road, the vehicle will automatically brake itself. Reverse, it does the same. It has got a reverse radar, which enables the driver to see his surroundings. And also, if you fail to brake, it brakes self-parking, self-driving as well. Then we have got what we call lane encroachment avoidance system. When you're driving like on highway, you are tired, you can just press the button for lane encroachment avoidance system. The car will start to steer itself, brake itself, it maintains the same speed that you have set in the vehicle. So those kind of specifications, you can only see them on higher end cars. But we said no, want to make a car for Zimbabwe, a car that is cheap but with the best technologies that you can get on high end cars. So basically, those are the technical parts of the vehicles. Braking system, we've got ABS and EBD, which is the electronic brake force distribution system. For example, if you're driving at high speed, you hit your emergency brakes, you don't have to touch even the steering. The car will never steer, it will go straight. Usually those technologies are used on sports cars, the racing cars, but we managed to adopt those technologies and put in the vehicle. The other thing that I want to talk about, we have developed a smart locking system. We call it a proximity locking system, where we are using a Doppler effect principle, where we calculate the changes of a frequency in a wavelength. That changes, the car will determine where the car is, so you don't have to lock your car physically. The moment you close the doors, starting to walk from the vehicle, it automatically lock itself. It understands where the key is. When you are coming, it understands that the key is also coming back. Then I must unlock the right doors or the left doors according to the calculations of the frequency. So it's a unique application that we put in the vehicle as well.
Is there any other vehicle in the world?
With this technology, no, this is the first vehicle in the world.
Where is it?
Yes, Zimbabwe.
President.
Your Excellency.
More than 3 million. Stay there and say, let them eat their 3 million. Come here, we eat sons. And then to take this technology.
And he also told us that he never went far with this.
Okay, that is Maxwell Chikumbuzo, from a scientist from Zimbabwe. A scientist from Zimbabwe called Maxwell Chikumbuzo has designed a car, has discovered a way to generate electricity using radio frequency, uh, unlike using solar. Using radio frequency, the guy is able to harvest the radio frequency uh, and generate electricity. So this car is saying it's a moving generator. You don't have to charge it. The car can power your house. It contains 15 kV of power. It's a moving generator. So anytime you can be able to power your house, even the speed, I mean, from 0 to 100 in just 2 seconds. That's too powerful. It's very powerful. So this is a Zimbabwean who discovered new technology or energy solutions, who came up with energy solutions that would change the world. It's going to change this world. Um, what happened before is the Zimbabwean government arrested him. They arrested him, I think, for the false signs. They arrested him previously, and he ran to the US. He actually was exiled in the US from the Zimbabwean government. But then recently, President Mnangagwa invited him back to Zimbabwe. But we know Mnangagwa is controlled by the British. So we don't know if he's going to assist the process to, because this means the end of petrol, the end of fossil fuel, the end of diesel. It means the end of cables, because he's able to connect electricity without cables. It means the end of the cable industry. So it's a massive discovery done in Zimbabwe by a black person. So he's been invited back by President Mnangagwa. I don't know if President Mnangagwa is going to help him get into business or is going to destroy him, because he works for the imperial forces, and the imperial forces does not want Africa to have sustainable energy. So this is free and sustainable energy that this guy technology Chukumbuzo has actually designed. Is going to revolutionize the way we know. You know, where compare this with Elon Musk. Now I realize that Elon Musk is actually a bogus scientist. He's not a real scientist. He's just a very good business person. He's able to find funding for projects. I mean, he owns, I think he runs about 5 companies, but the main one is what, there's the Boring Company, there's SpaceX, there's Tesla, and there's Starlink. I don't know this other one. What is this other one? The fifth one, Tesla and Starlink. Uh, Elon Musk is said to be the richest man on planet, but he hasn't sold anything. His cars have got serious problems. Sometimes we have to wait 3 hours trying to charge the problem with the batteries. His technology is just not there. He's not actually a scientist. He hires scientists to help him. Mostly when you listen to him talking, he's not even talking science, he's talking politics. I think he's highly manipulative, and he works for the American intelligence far more than being a scientist. I would suspect that he is an American spy, other than being the richest man on the planet. I mean, Toyota and other cars have been selling. Where if they tell us they are richest people on the planet, we would believe. If they say Ford is the richest, we would believe, because everywhere you can see Ford. You can't see the products that Tesla has produced. So he's actually a fake scientist. This one, compared to Chikumbuzo is, Maxwell has come up with a solution which will actually even assist in the house. Energy solution, a car which will be as well an energy solution, not would want to be charged. The white people does not want to give him the patent for this car, because they say he violated the laws of thermodynamics. What does the law of thermodynamics says? It says the amount of energy in should be the amount of energy coming out minus the amount that they've been used by the system. So in the case of this car that is we are talking about, the car is able to generate more electricity than he's adding into the car, meaning the car is able to source electricity elsewhere. So the law of thermodynamics only apply on a closed system. If it's a closed system, uh, where the source of the energy is found inside the system, then in will be out. But now, if the source of the energy comes from outside, straight into the system, then in will not be equal to out. So they say he is violating the law of thermodynamics, because the amount of energy that they found on the other side is more than the energy that they actually put into the car. So they say this is not an industrial applicable solution. They will not give him a patent, but it's only because he is a black person, and they don't want a black person to lead the process. This would be a solution, because it even designs drones. So when he's got a drone which will be able to be powered, he can make deliveries in any part of the world, as long as the drone can self-drive. So Africa will be revolutionizing the world. And Africa, the scientists in Africa are not the ones who goes to school to learn about how to do their scientific work. These are the people who normally would just drop out of the school. They receive the messages from their ancestors. Americans, by my understanding, it's actually impossible. Their lifestyle, the way they are living a very violent lifestyle. You can't produce scientists in that kind of environment. So uh, everything that they have, they steal. Maxwell Chikumbuzo generate electricity using radio frequency, applying nanotechnology, said to violate the law of thermodynamics. Yes, the first law of thermodynamics, which says in is out. They wanted to arrest him for violating the law of thermodynamics. In is not out. For him, uh, in is less and out is more. So they ask themselves, it's like when the simple way of understanding this law, it means if you are a human being and you are eating food, the amount of uh, nonsense that will come out should be equal to the amount of the food that you have eaten minus the food that the body has used. That is the law of thermodynamics. The amount of food that comes out of the body is equal to the amount of food that was inserted minus the food that the body has actually used. So that is the law of thermodynamics. So, but in the case of Maxwell Chikumbuzo, uh, the amount of the food that is coming in is less than the amount that is coming out for supply. So they are saying, yeah, this cannot be sustained. It cannot be industrial applicable because the system will somehow crash. It won't be sustained because it's not running on the real energy. There's no source for the energy. But they don't understand that the source is from outside, it's not actually from inside. In this case, the body is able to consume through its pores, not through the mouth. So they only counted what comes in through the mouth. More or less the example that I'm trying to give. So Africa is in the rise, and Africa is going to become the greatest country in the world. Whether the imperial forces want or not, the wars that they want to create, disparately looking for creation of tensions in Africa, creations of tensions in South Africa, in all them. In Mozambique, they've already installed their men after killing a lot of black people. So in every country, whenever they're given the opportunity to instigate violence, they instigate violence, and then at the end of the day, um, put their men when people are exhausted, when they realize that now we've actually killed a lot of people and people are exhausted. So now we can put our men in power. So in the case of the Congo, there won't be any war happening. South Africa will not go to war with Rwanda. South Africa does not have the capacity to go to war in Rwanda because South Africa wants to go to war with its own citizens. I was actually shocked. I read another research which said in the past 200 years, 200 million people were killed by their own government. 200 million people were physically killed by their own government in the past 100 years. So the work of the army is to kill their own people, to defend the interest of their warlord, who is the colonial master. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, for joining. Thank you very much, kings and queens, the royals. Thank you for joining, King Richard Mie, King Victor Shongwe. Thank you for your comment and for your ever support. Um, if you are joining for the first time today, click the like button and subscribe. Give us your opinion about the topics that we are discussing today. If you've got another view different from ours, tell us, share your views. If you've got the same views as us, please share your views as well. Thank you very much. Eh, have a blessed